Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with my wife, Nathalie Blackham. Great to have you with us. And with the program from Israel, we look at the news, we look at behind the news, and we look at the Hebrew roots, the letters of the Hebrew language, and biblical understanding of the end times, or the times that we're living in. Now, in Israel, we've just had Lag BaOmer, which is the time when they celebrate a rabbi and they have bonfires throughout the country, a bit like bonfire night in the United Kingdom, where there's a lot of bonfires and children go outside and have a great time. But it is quite a serious remembrance of a famous rabbi who was very involved in the north of Israel, Nathalie, in the spiritual life of the Jewish people. Now, as regards to the Iran war, we are in a ceasefire, or some people call it a warfire, where there's some bits of war and there's some bits of ceasefire. So, but there's officially a ceasefire. As far as I'm aware, that could change at any time. And indeed, there are signs, and Israel has said that it's preparing in case of a return to hostilities. There are still war going on to varying degrees in Gaza and in Lebanon, and
which is part of the sign of the end times.
Right. So that's still going on, and there doesn't seem to be a ceasefire in Lebanon, although officially there is. Now, one of the things we've talked about is the effect on the people of Israel. What's happening to the people on the ground? Well, Israel news media has said that the country's been interrupted. War has triggered clinical mental illness in millions of Israelis, not just a few here and there, but millions. 1 in 5 Israelis, Nathalie, is showing post-traumatic symptoms alongside a sharp rise in OCD, depression and addiction. We're dealing with a chronic situation the country generates so many stresses that a larger part of the population can never recover, says one expert. And of every Independence Day, and we just had Independence Day, the Central Bureau of Statistics in Israel publishes Israel's population figures, a far less celebratory number. One that neither systematically studied nor officially reported is the number of residents suffering from severe mental distress. That figure is now into the millions. People who are not adequately counted or adequately treated since October the 7th, 2023, when Hamas carried out the terrible attack on the south of Israel. Israel has become a nation in distress. Numerous studies point to severe effects amongst vulnerable groups, including a rise in postpartum depression, increased depression and anxiety amongst Holocaust survivors, heightened anxiety among autistic children, and worsened symptoms among people with fibromyalgia. Now, as the war has dragged on, it's becoming clear that an entire population is in effect an at-risk group. Everybody. When the findings are viewed together, a frightening picture emerges. A large share of Israelis are experiencing clinical levels, Nathalie, of mental distress. And we've seen that personally. We're getting to a point where most people are no longer resilient. One of the things that Israelis are famous for is resilience. They go through wars, clashes, terrorism, and they keep soldiering on. A resilience that reminds me of Churchill speaking to the British people during World War II. But how long can you keep that kind of resilience going?
And it's very difficult because of uncertainty. Uncertainty, yeah. Because if you have a goal and you know that it's for a certain time, you go for this goal and you try to cope with that. But if you don't know when it's going to finish, if it's going to start again, and so many things like with question mark, but there is question mark now all around the world. And I think because this is really worldwide. I think God is making, because we know God is in the midst of all the things, he knows everything, and it's like he's making us like, you can't make it yourself, you have to go back to me. And I think is all we know. Obviously is very strong in Israel, but we know that all around the world, people, everything is changing. The world is being transformed. We will speak a bit later on, but it's true what you are saying is deep inside of the people, because when you don't know where you are going, there is some anxiety.
And as you say, this is going on throughout the world. But if it's happening in Israel first, then we need to pay attention.
It's the center of the world.
Because this is going to happen everywhere, because it's happening here. Now, one of the things that Israelis have to cope with, Nathalie, as well as war and terrorism and all the stresses of life, is the cost of living. The essential household costs are going up and up. Israel has the highest cost of living, more than wealthier European nations even. In the first 3 months of the war alone, food prices in Israel increased by 2.9%, and the increases have not stopped. Some people put the blame on the war, but the reality is that there are a lot of profits being made. Soaring housing costs and steep food prices are the main drivers behind Israel's high cost of living. Even some of the wealthiest countries in Europe, according to a study by the Reichman University's Aaron Institute for Economic Policy, the cost of living in Israel is very expensive. And when you add the security situation, almost 3 years of war, it is not surprising that we are starting to see signs of emigration of quality human capital, meaning that more Israelis are leaving the country than coming back. Many, we've spoken about this before, many left have high-tech jobs, and the high-tech companies have moved them to the United States or other countries. Dr. Sarid Menachem Karmi, a senior researcher at the Aaron Institute for Economic Policy at Reichman, said, if nothing changes and affordability continues to decline, this is a catalyst for emigration. So this is exactly the wrong way. We want to see immigration, not emigration. The study led by Menachem Karmi found the cost of living in Israel has surged over the past 2 decades and is even become more expensive when compared to some of the wealthiest countries in Europe, including Austria, Finland and Denmark, the Netherlands and Sweden, where GDP per capita is higher. In other words, incomes are higher, but their cost of living is lower. The research showed that the average household consumption basket, including food, housing, electricity, health, is 21% more expensive than in the richest countries in Europe. And so this is something which again is putting stress on the Israeli public, that they have to find the finance when prices are going up in the shops, prices are going up for taxes, housing, and it's another stress.
But this is again, when you say all of that, we can see, I like to give my little 5 pence, it's like you can see God shaking the world and shaking Israel obviously too. And it's like, are you going to stay here where we know that Mashiach, the Messiah, is coming back, and that God is going to do something amazing, and again, Israel first is going to start here. Because a lot of people don't have the knowledge of the Torah, of the Bible. And if you have not that, it's very hard to stand strong. But if you start to read your Bible and seek and seek and seek and see what is written in it, they say Torah is emet, is truth. God is truth. And all that is in the Torah is truth. They say that Israel, like we're speaking about Israel is put in the middle. This is Ezekiel 5:5. Israel is put in the middle of the nations. Why? Because it's the center. And like, why also, there is so many things to say. Why does God ask his people to come 3 times, like pilgrimage in Jerusalem? 3 times a year. Why does he do that? Because he's inviting them to receive the blessing. And same for the nations, but Isaac first to Israel. And so we need to go back. He is the center. And he said that his throne will be in Jerusalem. And it will be. It is and it will be. We might not see it with our eyes with our normal eyes. But if we open our spiritual eyes, we will see what God is doing. And I think he's starting to open the eyes of many people. People are thinking about Israel. Oh, why do I know? Do I want to learn the Hebrew language? All these things is part of what God is doing.
Now, one of the things we talked about before on the Israel First television program is the possibility of a CBDC, which is a central bank digital currency. Well, in Israel, they've introduced a digital currency. They have introduced for the north of Israel. It's limited. It's limited in its issuance, and it's limited in the area. It's in the north of Israel. And the north of Israel, we've talked about before on the program, has been very affected by the war in Lebanon. You may remember that the mayor of Kiryat Shimona, the city, the capital, they say, Nathalie, of the north, was complaining to the government about the fact that the time limit to get to a shelter is very, very small, and they don't have enough shelters, they don't have enough people there, etc. And so the north has been affected by the attacks from Hezbollah missiles. Now, what the government are doing is they are doing a digital credit card. Not quite sure what that is. I think it's just something on your phone, which will be filled with amounts of cash from 1,000 to 2,000, or digital cash, should I say, from 1,000 to 2,500 shekels. I'm just trying to think what that would be in dollars, maybe to something.
It's changing all the time. I think the dollar is like three shekels for $1, which is very, very low now.
So it's not. It's almost coming up to 1,000. The second one. The digital critics, though, are saying the digital currency being launched opens the way to a loss of freedom in a cashless future. Cash obviously gives you freedom. You can choose what you want. There is a privacy. People don't need to know, and it gives people options. Whereas if it's digital, then everybody knows, and the government knows, and
it's on computers,
right?
And everything is registered, recorded.
Yeah, and it could be used to strip citizens, critics say, of their freedom and privately owned assets. About a year after the official evacuation in the north, and in the shadow of the precarious security reality in the north of Israel, 17,000 Israeli households, Nathalie, in the communities there, on the confrontation line up to 2 kilometers from the border with Lebanon, will receive a digital credit card via a message sent to their mobile phones. It's all done by mobile phones, which, by the way, the younger people are all using now. It's almost like the digital thing isn't a shock for most people, because they're already paying when they go to the shops or go to sports events or restaurants. They're using their phone to pay. Now it's a message is sent to your phone, Nathalie, when it can be from 1,000 to 2,500 shekels. It's a grant to help people in the north of Israel near to the border. And the mechanism, promoted by Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and led by his office staff, will be implemented by the Negev and Galilee Development Ministry, and is based on digital credit cards, and will be loaded with the payment, which is the grant for the person. The geographical restriction on the use of the fund is strict, though. You can't just, like we were saying, your freedom is restricted. It will only be possible to pay using the digital wallet at businesses located in communities adjacent to the fence, up to a distance of 2 kilometers from the border. So there's a geographical limit. There's also a time limit as well on the validity of the digital currency, which is for 2 years from the date that the digital wallets are issued. And we will keep you updated regarding the advance of digital currency in Israel. Now, Nathalie, you have things to share with us today. You've been doing the Hebrew letters, and we're looking forward to the next Hebrew letter and what you have to share with us today.
We're on the 11th now letter, so it's very interesting because the numbers go from 1 to 10, and then we jump into 20, 30, 40. So now is the letter Kaf. I'm going to show it to you, letter Kaf. So you can see there is, funny enough, there is this one. You can have it with the dot or not the dot. And this one is, the letter is changing what is at the end of a word. And it's very interesting. So I was saying the numerical value is 20, which is interesting because when you are in your 20s, there is a lot of change. You are going to be really influenced by your teachers, by people around you. And Ke is also like, you can say, like Ke Meler, or ki Meler, like the king. So is like how do we say? Wait. I wrote it somewhere to find exactly that it is a modifier. So it's showing like you are like the king. Okay. Ki Meler. Okay, so how we say it. This letter is like the palm of a hand, okay, like that, Kaf, and it's amazing because is the first letter with changing at the end of a word. So it's speaking. There is many understanding with the letters also of our world, and to explain, the Hebrew language is really the building block for creation. When God created heaven and earth and the universe, he used the Hebrew letters because there is a power behind the letters. And the Torah is written all in Hebrew. Then it was translated. And then he says in Zephaniah 3:9, I will reverse, I will give back again, because at the Tower of Babel, I said that many times, but we really need to understand that at the beginning, everybody was speaking Hebrew. We lost it because we wanted to be strong without God, and God said, hey, there is limits. And so the Semitic people and the Hebrew people kept the Hebrew. Shem was the name of one of the sons of Noah. But God has given some other languages, and so we could not speak between each other. You know how it is when you don't speak a language and you go in a country. It's very frustrating, or it is for me anyway. And because you want to communicate, you still have your head, but you can't communicate with the person because the language is not the same. Okay, so God has done that. He didn't want humanity to be united because they wanted to do something against God. So he said, this is not the right thing. So we lost the Hebrew language. But he said, I will give it back to you because it's so important, this language, that I want you to understand. And the Torah, the Bible, the Word of God is written in Hebrew. And when you start to discover that, is like another universe, because the other languages are very limited, but the Hebrew language has many layers of understanding and is like principle and wisdom are hidden, I would say, inside. It's like playing hide and seek with God. He gave us some clues and suddenly you say, something is wrong here. It's not exactly written like usually. And suddenly you discover amazing things. So it's very, very interesting. So this is what I want to tell you. I really encourage you to learn Hebrew and start, even it's like just the beginning, just start. and you can build on that, and then your children might build on that. You know, like the Hebrew language, again, in Israel, they didn't speak it. When they came back here, people were coming back and were speaking German and French and Yiddish and Ladino, you know, different language. And Eliezer Ben Yehuda worked so hard to bring back the Hebrew language for the daily life. He had really, his life was so hard because people didn't really understand what he was doing. And like the religious weren't happy, and after the others were not happy, he was like, but he had a vision that God has given him, and he said, no, we carry on. And now people are speaking the Hebrew language on the street, and it's because of him, because of one man, Eliezer Ben Yehuda. And I know obviously God was inspire him, and there was a spirit behind, like people were inspired by him. But this was very important. So when you see kaf, the letter is like, you say like the hand, and like the palm of the hand, and like when you bless God, so you lift up your hand, you lift up your calf. And also one thing beautiful during Shabbat, every Shabbat, the father will put his hand on the head of the child and bless him. You see, again, it's the calf and it's blessing. And you know, calf is also a spoon. So it's like a container. And you need containers to receive the blessing. So when the father put the hand on his child, it's like, I'm giving you the blessing. And it's so touching. And many people, and I remember us, when we saw that at the beginning, it was like, wow, the father is blessing his children every week. This is something very beautiful. So this is, you know, we need to be containers if we want to receive the blessing. So sometimes we need to empty of our ego, of things like that, for receiving the light, which is interesting because when you were speaking about Lag BaOmer, about this rabbi, but it was all about the light and how we need to be containers to receive the light. So it's very interesting that we speak about that today. And one more things, again, the little hide and seek games that God has with us. When you read in Genesis 23, it was just after when Abraham was going to sacrifice his son, Yitzhak. How do we say it in English? Isaac, thank you. Sarah was very distressed and she died. So in Genesis 23, you see that there is a diminished calf. So I've told you all the letters usually are the same length, but this time is little, and it's like we have to say, why is it like that? And it's when Abraham went to mourn for Sarah, and he weep over her. And like weep over her, there the calf is little. To say, yes, it's normal to mourn. It's like your beloved wife. It's like you are sad, and it's normal. But don't forget that there is eternal life. That you spend time on earth, but it's a limited time, and then you have eternity. So yes, there is sorrows, and this is for all of us. Yes, there is sorrows right now. Yes, the world is going into a transformation right now, and we will see the redemption. The redemption is already coming, okay? There is no way now to turn back. We see the step of redemption coming, and we are in travail, but we will see the good things. So even sometimes we mourn, even sometimes there is hard time, we know that the future is bright, and we have to hold on into that because we need to live, and we need to know that there is a bright future for us, for humanity.
We know that there will be a new heavens and a new earth, so where righteousness dwells. So the people are very excited about the by and by, but we know that, or the heavens, but we know that that God has the earth the new earth ready for us. Well, it's been great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to visit the website. A lot of information there. We can't do all the news stories, but you'll get all the news stories on the website. If you go to the media page and you click on the news, you'll see a daily news program. You can sign up to our weekly newsletter that Nathalie does. There's also the book, The Beauty of the Hebrew Language, that Nathalie's written. You can find out how you can get a copy of that, either a hard copy or you can get a Kindle copy by going to Amazon, and all the information about that is on the website. Also, thank you so much to everybody who is helping us, standing with us financially. It's because of your support that we're able to come into people's homes and tell them the news from Israel and the stories behind the news, how it's affecting the people of Israel and the Hebrew roots. And don't forget, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.